Welcome back to the channel. When we think of Canadian coins, the loonie and toonie often come to mind, but for decades the 1-cent coin, or penny, was an essential part of everyday life. In 2003, the Canadian penny was still in full circulation, changing hands daily in shops, bus fares, and piggy banks across the country. Yet this little copper-colored coin from that year carries more history than you might expect, especially when we look at its design, variations, and place in Canadian numismatics. The Canadian 1-cent coin has a long history, first appearing in 1858 under colonial rule. Over the years, it went through multiple changes in design, size, and metal composition. By the early 2000s, the coin had already shifted away from its original bronze makeup. Since 1997, the penny had been struck mostly in copper-plated steel or zinc, giving it the same look as older pennies but at a fraction of the cost. The 2003 coin continued this modern trend, reflecting the changing needs of the Canadian mint and the economy. The reverse of the 2003 penny featured one of Canada's most iconic designs, the maple leaf twig. Designed by G.E. Kruger Gray and introduced in 1937, this artwork shows two maple leaves on a single twig, symbolizing Canada's natural heritage. For decades, this symbol remained unchanged, becoming one of the most recognizable elements of Canadian coinage. By 2003, generations of Canadians had grown up seeing the maple leaf penny, making it a piece of shared cultural memory. On the obverse side, however, something special happened in 2003. That year marked the transition from the crowned portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Dora de Pedery Hunt, to a new uncrowned portrait by Canadian artist Susanna Blunt. For the first time since the Queen's reign began, Canada chose a design without a crown, showing her in a more natural, approachable light. This meant that in 2003, two different versions of the penny were struck, one with the older crowned effigy and one with the new uncrowned effigy. This dual portrait issue makes the 2003 penny particularly fascinating for collectors. While billions of pennies were minted, having both versions from the same year tells the story of an important transition in Canadian coinage. It was a rare moment where tradition and modernity overlapped, offering collectors the chance to hold both the end of one era and the beginning of another in the same date. The physical details of the coin remained consistent. It measured 19.05 millimeters in diameter and weighed 2.35 grams, with a smooth edge. Its copper-plated steel core gave it the classic reddish color, but with a magnetic property that older bronze pennies didn't have. In fact, a simple magnet test can reveal whether a penny is from the modern steel issues or one of the earlier zinc-based versions. For everyday users, it made no difference, but for numismatists, even the metal told part of the story. By 2003, the debate about the usefulness of the penny was already heating up in Canada. Inflation had eroded its value, and the cost of minting each cent was close to or even higher than the coin's face value. Many argued that it was time to phase out the penny. Still, in that year, it was an indispensable coin, and Canadians continued to carry and use it daily. Looking back now, the 2003 issue feels like it was part of the last chapter before the end of the penny a decade later. For collectors today, the 2003 1-cent coin is not particularly rare, but its significance comes from context. The crowned and uncrowned varieties, especially in mint condition, are sought after by those who want to capture the full timeline of Canadian coin portraits. Sets that include both 2003 designs make excellent teaching pieces, helping to explain how coins evolve not just in metal and style, but in the symbols they choose to represent. It's also a coin that sparks nostalgia. Many Canadians remember these pennies from their childhood piggy banks, from counting change for candy, or from the jingling handfuls given out as change at the corner store. Now that the penny has been officially withdrawn since 2012, coins like the 2003 issue act as little time capsules, reminders of how everyday life once revolved around even the smallest denominations. So, the next time you spot a 2003 Canadian penny tucked away in a drawer or at the bottom of a jar, take a closer look. Check whether it carries the crowned or uncrowned effigy, and think about the historical moment it represents. Though worth only 1 cent in its day, it now carries far greater value as a piece of Canadian history. Small, simple, and often overlooked, the 2003 1-cent coin tells the story of a nation's identity, its economy, and its journey through time.